Okay, so unless you've been living under a rock for the past 2 weeks, you're probably aware about an incident that took place involving the safe manufacturer Liberty Safe. So in this video, I'm just going to go into some of the background on the incident itself and then also kind of give some more details and break down Liberty's responses and their reasons for taking the actions they did, as well as comparisons to other cases. Let's just get into it now. Just getting this out of the way now, I'm going to be referring to Liberty Safe as just Liberty for the rest of the video because I'm lazy. All right, firstly, what the hell even happened? What are we talking about? What is this incident? Basically, the FBI had a search warrant for some suspect's property, not going into that case because it doesn't matter. They got to the suspect's property, began a search of it. During the search, they found a safe, a firearm safe made by Liberty inside of the suspect's home. They wanted to get into the safe because, of course, they do. They're the feds. What did they do? They reached out to Liberty Safe with a copy of their search warrant for that suspect's property and requested any available access code to the safe. Liberty, following their own company protocol, they complied with this request and they gave the FBI a unique access code for that safe. Now, keep in mind, they weren't subpoenaed. The FBI just asked nicely. And there was some speculation about this, but we'll get into that in the next slide. And after they gave them this code, literally everybody freaked out. After news of the incident broke, Liberty did the only thing that they could do in that situation, which was give a pretty bland PR statement that some people found to be semi-vague about what it was the FBI provided them with, but I think it's fairly clear looking at this, and they clarify it in their follow-up statements. Basically, the FBI asked nicely for a code. They had the search warrant of the suspect's property, and they forwarded that to Liberty and asked for the code. So Liberty claims they had no knowledge of any details surrounding the case at the time. That is probably true, but what is also true is that without being officially subpoenaed or being given some type of court order, they provided a federal law enforcement agency with confidential customer records. And this is something that they clearly do in accordance with their company protocol, which they write out plain as day in their own PR response. In the immediate days following, or scratch that, in the immediate minutes following the release of this statement, the backlash Liberty began to get from the firearms community as a whole, on and off the internet, was substantial. And let me tell you guys, it was also fucking hilarious. I mean, every single time I refreshed my feed, there was a new meme shitting on Liberty. And to be honest, it seemed like the memers in the firearms community really saved up some of their best stuff for when this event happened, because a lot of those memes were hitting pretty good. Alongside the memes, this is something that got covered by literally every single gun channel on YouTube. I suppose now this one 2 weeks later, because I can't keep up with trends. But just the coverage on this was so immense. It's something that really can't be overstated. In response to all of this backlash, Liberty Safe did the only thing they could do. They once again released a PR statement, though this one was about 3 times longer and probably 3 times fewer people wound up reading this than the original, because at this point, really no one cared about what they had to say. But the gist of it is this. Liberty maintains a database of reset codes for their customer saves that they could at any point in time give out to a customer if they lock themselves out of their safe. They say this practice is industry standard, and to the best of my knowledge from the research I've done, it does appear to be that way, which is funny considering companies like Winchester and Canon are taking shots at Liberty over this whole event. However, where Liberty might break from this industry norm is that Liberty was giving out these codes to law enforcement without being officially subpoenaed for them, which you could see they've revised their policy in the highlighted box on the right, and they will only give out codes to law enforcement if officially subpoenaed for these codes. Finally, we're bouncing back to page 2 here, where Liberty says effective immediately, existing customers can fill out forms to have the records of their access codes expunged from Liberty's internal databases. And they're also working on giving new customers the ability to do this when they first register their safes. I'll finish up talking about the incident itself by discussing some of the ongoing fallout that we're still seeing about 2 weeks later. Though unverified, you could see quite a few examples online of people finding good sales on Liberty Saves. I know even on websites such as Tractor Supply Co. and Cabela's, you could find most of the Liberty Safe offerings for at least $100 or $200 off. It's still too early to see how badly this will affect Liberty's sale numbers by the end of the fiscal year or even going into the next fiscal year, so we can't really speculate on that at the moment, but I'd be surprised if there was not some blip that occurs. What's been the most surprising piece of fallout that I haven't heard very many people talk about is the fact that the Attorney General of Missouri is launching an investigation into Liberty Safe over the release of these codes, though this seems to be more of a consumer protection type investigation because they're going to be investigating whether or not Liberty Safe fully and appropriately discloses to their customers the terms under which they will give their codes to law enforcement. If you've made this far in the video, I appreciate you. You're fully caught up on the Liberty Safe incident as to present day, which is September 21st of 2023. For the next couple minutes, though, I'm going to give some background information or provide just further details on subjects related to the incident, such as what exactly is an MRC, MRC just being the acronym for the type of code they gave to law enforcement, and how is Liberty Safe comparable to Apple in this situation, because a ton of people keep comparing Liberty to Apple. Okay, so what exactly is an MRC? MRC, like I said, it's basically the acronym for this access or reset code that comes with a digital lock. And it comes with this from the lock manufacturers themselves, not from the companies like Liberty Safe. Liberty Safe will buy these locks and they install them onto their safes. So MRC terminology means a couple different things from the different major lock manufacturers, whether it's the manager reset or management reset or master reset. And basically, this is just a code that digital lock manufacturers will make in case they ever need to reset a lock. Now, there could probably be a variety of reasons for resetting a lock, even in like the testing purposes when they have them back at the factory, but the general use case is just someone forgot the code. From the lock manufacturers, these codes are pretty uniform. But what will happen, generally speaking, is when they send them out to a safe manufacturer for install, it's changed to a unique code at that point. So this is so there's not some master key that works on every single lock. Your lock should have a unique MRC associated with it because the safe manufacturer changed it when they received it upon delivery, or because the lock manufacturer changed it before they shipped it out. Usually it's one of the two. But just to clarify, they are going to be, or at least they should be, unique to every lock by the time you get your safe. Now, the industry standard, as we've talked about before, is the safe companies will retain the reset code in case their end users lose them. And the issue that's come up, because this does appear to be industry standard, and many of the companies that are criticizing Liberty and trying to hop on and get some extra marketing out of this situation, they also have your codes. Winchester has your code. Canon has your code. I'm sure every other safe company using a digital lock has your code in some way. The issue comes into under what circumstances do you give it out to people, namely federal law enforcement, which for Liberty, it seems the bar was pretty low to do that, which is why we're here in the first place. Okay, last thing to discuss here on the eve of me giving Apple over $1,000 for the first iPhone I've had in years is Liberty Safe comparable to Apple as it pertains to the Apple versus FBI iPhone encryption case from a couple years ago. If you're not familiar, in 2015, there was a terrorist attack in San Bernardino, and one of the suspects, or I shouldn't say suspects, one of the fucking terrorists had an iPhone, and the FBI came into possession of the iPhone and wanted to gain access to it. So they subpoenaed Apple and wanted them to unlock the phone for them. Now, a lot of people jumping on the anti-Liberty Safe bandwagon just kind of leave it at that, and they say that Apple did an even better job because the FBI actually subpoenaed them and they still refused their requests. But that's really not quite the full story, and it's kind of misleading. Apple doesn't have any records that they can give or be subpoenaed to give them because they don't exist. They don't have a database of the unlock code for your iPhone. That's why if you ever lose your code, the support you get for it is explaining how you basically brick your phone. If you lose your code, you're fucked, okay? There is no code they can give them. And this is a very convenient legal side effect of not being a records keeper if you're a company like Apple. You can't be compelled to give away the private information of your customers if you don't have it in the first place. The problem for Liberty is they have those records. Now, granted, Liberty was never subpoenaed or ordered by a court in any way to hand those records over, but if they were, they'd probably have to, which is also basically what their new policy that we talked about earlier says. To finally end the video, let's say you're someone who is interested in buying a safe and you like the idea of having a digital lock because we're not living in the Stone Age anymore. What should you do? Honestly, Doesn't really matter who you buy your safe from, even if it is Liberty. You could probably get them at a discount right now. If you're buying a safe with a digital lock, look into the manufacturer of the digital lock and figure out if there is a way of changing the master reset, management reset, just changing the reset code of that specific lock. Once your MRC is changed to a code that no one else knows besides you, I don't know, write it down on a piece of paper, laminate it, put it in a waterproof bag, bury it in the woods. Really do whatever you want to do with it. Just as long as it's a unique code that isn't in a database anywhere, there's really no one that can hand that information out to people besides you. All right, that's everything. I'll see you people whenever the next firearms company does something stupid.